Welcome to your Tech News Today, a podcast about keeping you informed and empowered by giving you the latest tech stories that impact your daily life. We'll get started in just a moment. Right now, we'd like to recognize our partners who help make this podcast possible. It's Wednesday, November 14th. I'm Mike James. Coming up in a bit, major crime is covered up in the cloud. Plus, are you checking your phone right now? We break down how many times the average person checks their phone per day. And we'll detail the latest critical snag crippling iPhone users. We start with a creative cover-up that landed a suspect in serious trouble. You know, covering up and investigating any sort of crime certainly has evolved over time. The days of dusting for fingerprints and drawing a chalk line around a body soon gave way to cultivating DNA from inside the yellow police tape. Well, this next story is a modern way to try and hide critical evidence from authorities. It shows the lengths that criminals are willing to go through the digital age to dodge jail time. Recently, a suspect in a drive-by shooting in New York was able to wipe her iPhone after the phone was being taken into evidence by police. You almost need to hear that last sentence twice to comprehend the criminal creativity that police say unfolded. Again, she wiped her phone after the police had taken it into custody. One of the first things police want from a suspect or suspects connected to a certain crime is any device that may have critical evidence. Well, in this case, when New York police got the iPhone X from the 24-year-old female suspect, she put on her high-tech thinking cap and wiped her iPhone remotely using the cloud. It's savvy, it's smart, it's sneaky. Well, yeah, all that is true, but it's also wrong. The suspect now faces additional charges of tampering with evidence. The additional charges are no slap on the wrist in a white-collar prison. New York law states a single charge of tampering with evidence can carry a sentence as long as 20 years. On the flip side, if she is found guilty of the serious charges, she should become an expert at making license plates for 20 cents an hour while behind bars. Police forces around the nation can remedy copycat cases from taking place, looking for authorities to invest in Faraday Bags, which is an expensive device where a phone can be placed in this protective bag and uses a special shield to block data breaches or any sort of remote hacking. Moving on to our next story, and if you're checking your phone right now, stop. We are moving on. If somebody asked me how many times I check my phone per day, I'd probably respond with a blank stare and immediately look down at my phone to see if I could provide that answer. Well, sadly, my phone does not have that capability built in, although the new iOS 12 does have it. Building a running tally of the times we look at our phone is kind of like counting sit-ups at the gym. You know, you kind of lose count at 11 or 12, and then you kind of assume your body is going to get in better shape at some point, some way. To get some tangible answers into our phone habits, the folks over at the Global Mobile Consumer Survey put their collective brain power together to study how many times we check and recheck our phones on a daily basis. What they found was that Americans on average check their phones 52 times a day. That number is up from last year's research, which showed about 47 times a day. Anybody else think that the 52 number is especially low? Especially if you use social media and with all the texting and all that stuff you use, that seems like a pretty low number. Here's the interesting research results that were also on the survey. Roughly 2/3 of the same people that said they checked their phones 52 times a day also said they wanted to cut back on how much they use their smart device. This is no shocker. The survey looked at a wide range of ages. 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds admit they're hooked on their devices. And the last thing you need to know from this study, researchers found more than half of our country say that 5G will be the key factor in their next smartphone. Apple has targeted the year 2020 for 5G. The tech giant believes that's right around the time that they'll start rolling out their 5G-capable phones. Just ahead, locked out of your iPhone lately? You're not alone. We crack into what exactly is holding back loyal fans of Apple from using their favorite device. Right now, let me tell you about the amazing Epson Fast Photo Scanner. Kim may be America's digital pro, but even she enjoys forgetting about the tech when it comes to the new Epson Fast Photo and scanning photos. Scan stacks of photos from wallet size to 8x10, even Polaroids. Fast Photo offers automatic two-sided scanning, so you can even capture the handwritten notes on the back of your pictures. Damaged or faded photos? Well, Fast Photo has the software to automatically restore your memories. And best of all, it's easy. Order yours today when you go to visit Epson.com/fastphoto. That's Epson.com/fastphoto. There are two screens that give most iPhone users palpable anxiety. The first is the 10% battery life warning, the second being the notorious Apple ID locked screen. It's kind of a helpless feeling that you don't have access to anything that you've kept securely in the cloud. Your Apple Music is limited and your blue iMessages are now reverted back to a green archaic text message. So if you woke up this week and had to reset your password to your Apple ID, trust me, you're not alone. Social media has been buzzing with this. Normally, you're locked out of your Apple ID if you try an incorrect password too many times and are forced to then reset the password. Here's the catch with this story. iPhone users are being locked out for no specific reason. Apple has been left scratching their heads on this one, and right now it's unknown how many users have been impacted by the Tangled technology snafu. You might be asking, does this have anything to do with iOS 12.1? Well, that would be a good question. Right now, Apple hasn't commented on that specific question. And if you haven't updated your Apple device to the latest iOS, you probably should. The update comes equipped with a group of FaceTime features and around 70 new emojis. I know it's hard, but try and contain your excitement for all the new emojis. We will continue to track the Apple ID lockout issue as reports become available. By now, you've seen a movie in the Die Hard or Hurt Locker genre where the hero of the flick is burdened with the task of defusing a bomb. You know the routine. It all comes down to, well, you cut the red or the white wire so you don't get your face blown off. Well, the hero gets the girl, saves the day, roll credits, scene, and the end. Well, that is life portrayed on the silver screen. In the real world, it's not quite that simple. We live in a world where one small mistake, international or not, can set off a chain reaction of confusing global miscommunication. Case in point, Google data for search and cloud services were sent bouncing around the globe for roughly an hour on Monday. Officials are pointing the finger at Main One Cable in Nigeria. The company was reportedly updating their system to make things more efficient for Google users. One problem, during that update, Google traffic was filtered away from the African ISP and actually went to China and Russia. Let's keep things simple with this story and examine the meat on the bone in relative terms. Anytime you have a mistake on a select network, it can result in traffic being rerouted the wrong way, and that's exactly what happened here. A Google spokesperson quickly got out in front of the issue, saying that they were made aware of the error and put the blame on incorrect routing data. The good news is that Google officials said the misdirected traffic was encrypted, meaning any damages were limited. Now, for the negative side on this story, one leading cybersecurity team said that what took place in Nigeria was likely no mistake. The security company has dealt with similar cases in the past, most of which were targeted incidents that they characterized as grand theft internet. So what do you do when you see neighbors setting up shop on your cul-de-sac? Well, where I come from, it's not unusual to welcome folks in your neck of the woods with some yummy baked goods, maybe a nice fall-themed casserole or a bottle or two of wine. After all, whether you're moving 2 houses down or 2,000 miles away, it's a pain and a goodwill gesture for the neighbors. Housewives in Long Island, New York, and in the Washington, D.C. area might need several large commercial ovens to cook up something sweet for the new kids on the block. Amazon has announced the winners of a much-anticipated contest as the massive company pushes to the other side of the country to establish split headquarters on the East Coast. The winners are Long Island City, and for a geography refresher, that is a short trip from the hustle and bustle of Midtown Manhattan. The other side is in Crystal City, roughly a 15 to 20-minute drive from Washington, D.C. But of course, if you know anything about the traffic in Washington, D.C., it moves like a IKEA parking lot. So let's just say 45 minutes to an hour to be on the safe side. So believe me when I say that every city wanted a piece of the Amazon pie. 20 finalists included Indianapolis, Denver, Dallas, and the now hipster trendy town of Nashville. A total of 50,000 Amazon employees will be assigned to the new East Coast headquarters. Officials say it will be an even split, with each location staffed by about 25,000 workers ready to hit the ground running. Well, remember the welcoming gift I mentioned at the beginning of the story? One Long Island city group wants to greet Amazon with a centrification tax. This tax aims to keep local residents from being priced out of their neighborhood by Amazon employees. So that's a nice thing, I guess, for the local population. Coming up next, Target is targeted by hackers in a scam you have to hear to believe, and new evidence that moves the spotlight from traditional TV watching and puts it solely on the growing number of cord cutters. Right now, a quick thank you to our friends who help make these podcasts possible. And if you're a local news anchor, reporter, weatherman, weatherwoman, heck, if you work at any facet of local television, that sector of our traditional broadcast world is taking a deep breath because focus groups continue to show millennials and zennials are not going to consume and digest news the same way that Gen Xers and baby boomers have. Over the past several decades, that's old news. The story here, though, is the new numbers that back up the inevitable trend. Nielsen was intrigued by so-called cord cutters, so they took the month of October to look at who was watching what and how they're watching it. Keep in mind that October is a major month for the big four networks. You have the fall lineup of shows in full swing, the World Series is unfolding, and NFL along with college football. October has to be strong so stations can have good numbers come November. That month is sweeps, where TV stations are judged on their ratings. So, during October, USA Today and Nielsen reported the number of people ages 18 to 34 using TV has plummeted 15% and is down 36% from 2014. The drop-off among teens, 18% from last year and 48% since 2014, is even more pronounced. Okay, now just reading that sounds like I am forecasting doom and gloom, when in reality it could be just one bad month taken out of context, a glitch, perhaps. Well, hold that thought, because if those statistics from October didn't grab your attention, then these should. For 3 months, we're talking July, August, and September of 2018, cable and satellite systems reported the loss of another 1 million customers, the largest quarterly drop yet. About 40% of homes led by millennials didn't subscribe to cable or satellite services. That is according, again, to USA Today and Nielsen research. So going forward, all the numbers suggest cutting the cord will be as common as cable was in the mid-90s. Somewhere along the way, in the not-so-distant future, cutting the cord will no longer carry the stigma of a trend. Instead, it'll be the norm to switch from broadcasting to a boutique-like a la carte version where narrowcasting is king. By the way, once you're done listening to our podcast, do us a favor and give us a good 5-star review. Give us a good rating on wherever you're listening to us to. We would appreciate that. It helps us get more listeners. And finally, for today's Commando Kicker, an employee at a Subway sandwich shop was recently warned by Colorado wildlife officials not to feed bread to the deer. He had been caught on camera throwing loaves of bread to deer in the parking lot, which had quickly turned into a petting zoo. When one witness arrived on the scene, there were about 10 deer getting bread thrown at them. In Colorado, feeding deer or other big game animals is illegal because it's not good for the animals. Think about the carbs, of course. Deer can also get aggressive. And for more fun and interesting facts, go to Commando.com and search for the Commando Kicker. That's our tech news today. Thanks, and have a good day.